Welcome to Meaningful Mornings. Leadership in Hinduism. This starts with Satya. Satya is at the thought level. This expresses as ahimsa. This is at the word level. And this expresses as brahmacharya, which is at the action level. Satya means ideally, to live up to your ideals. And so leadership in Hinduism, this really is a sacred leadership where one is leading themselves. If your starting point is leading yourself at the thought level, then naturally one will be a more efficient, effective, enlightened leader at a word level, at an action level. Meaningful Mornings is a culture to stop leading others and to start leading yourself. If that's checked off, you will automatically lead others. The more choice you have, the more what you have, you can share in the chat if you wish. The more choice you have, the more you compare. My favorite restaurants to go to are the ones where there's less choice. Like Taco Bell. A sattvic ego is where you justify your choices. This is not a sattvic ego. This is a fact. And so the way to regulate choice is to know and follow your responsibilities. Responsibilities are not choice-based. And since they're not choice-based, there's less comparison, competition, jealousy, insecurity. We, as humans, have a unique responsibility to know and follow that we are more than human. Stones, plants, animals live by instinct. They don't have responsibilities that they are intentional about. Humans can be intentional. Whether we are or not is different, but we can be intentional. That this is my responsibility, and so I don't compare and so on. Why is it that we forget our responsibilities? Our responsibility to evolve, to be beyond a human. Shri Krishna uses the word avritya. Avritya means to ignore, to forget. When I ignore infinity, I forget infinity, then naturally I react like I am a individuality. Our community, and now zooming into this chapter of Bhagavad Gita, is creating a support system so that we are ready to surrender. Surrender that we are not going to live forever, or rather, surrender that we are going to live forever. 2, surrender our individuality. This system is flowing through the gunas, particularly sattva guna, the quality of quietness. When one is inward looking, then the fulfillment of this is one becomes independent. An independent individuality is really infinite. Sattva guna is that quality that takes us past qualities. Understanding what these qualities feel like more, tama is when you think of oneself. Those who overthink, those who have a inferiority complex, that is tama. Raja is when you're thinking of others, but in relation to oneself. That feels like a superiority complex. And sattva is where you're thinking about others. This support system is where you're surrendering, thinking about oneself. Please remember though, sattva is still thinking. And I had shared that infinity is when one is not thinking. One is silence, one is being. In the Yoga Sutra, which we are going to explore next year, it's pretty remarkable to think that we are going to finish Bhagavad Gita. It's sad, but remarkable also. Rishi Patanjali, right in the beginning, says yoga is nirodha. Nirodha means one has transcended the mind, thoughts, thinking. Anyone who's stuck in thinking about oneself, thinking about others in relation to oneself, thinking about others. When it comes to sattva, Sri Krishna calls this bhadnati, which means one is controlled and so shaken. But for raja and tama, he changes the word to nibadnati, which means very controlled, extremely controlled. Which means the one who has raja in their personality, those who are aggressive, are very shaken. Those who have tama or laziness, they are extremely shaken. We continue into verse 10. I had mentioned that the table of contents in verse 5 keeps opening up in different ways. Rajas tamascha vibhuya sattvam bhavati bharata rajas sattvam tamaschaiva tamas sattvam rajastatha. Joy. Shri Krishna is sharing here the dynamics that are at play between these qualities. At times, sattva is on top, and below that is raja and tama. At times, raja is on top, and below that is sattva and tama. At times, tama is at top. Most of the time, tama is on top. And below that is sattva and raja. That's what this verse shares in a very technical way. Now, the implication of this. I hope you're able to see the pattern by which Sri Krishna is teaching. He puts out a hypothesis, then elaborates. Now, in this verse, he's put out another hypothesis, and now elaborates. We are all gunas in all ways. In the morning, we are more quiet. In the day, more aggressive. In the evening, more lazy. We are like that. The day is like that. Food is like that. There's food that makes you quiet, like dal. There's food that makes you aggressive, like spicy food. There's food that makes you lazy, like eating animals. And so, Shri Krishna is trying to share here is that you have a choice on which guna is on top. The way you live will maneuver these gunas. You are controlled by the gunas, but you can direct the gunas. And if you feel that I'm extrapolating too much, you shouldn't feel that. But we go back to chapter 2, Shri Krishna shares, Nitya Sattva Staha. Bhavarjuna, Arjuna, you should be established in Sattva always. Offering some more insights. This chapter on the gunas, we have already explored in chapter 4. There, what came before guna? Varna. In chapter 4, verse 13. Your application I'm sharing in advance. Your application, and I'm strongly encouraging you to engage in this application so that this chapter becomes more real to you. On Chinmay Nagra's YouTube channel, the Meaningful Mornings playlist, please go to chapter 4. Verse 13 has 3 parts. Pujya Swami Tejomayananda taught us that one verse for an hour and a half. I shared this with all of you for 45 minutes. Our guna expresses as karma, but the root of our guna is our varna. Shri Krishna is sharing here. Tama is associated with black, Raja is associated with red, and Sattva is associated with white. That's why the source of the gunas is varna or color. Our color expresses as black, red, and white, and in various combinations. One more insight. In Bhagavad Gita's chapter 6, when Shri Krishna is teaching how to contemplate, he repeatedly uses the word yukta. Yukta means one is to be balanced in sleeping and waking, in working and resting. The more balanced you become, the less the gunas control you, shape you. And that's why for all of our Devis, if you remember, in 2015, our retreat was in Raleigh, and the theme was finding your balance. Which chapter of Bhagavad Gita did we take up? I hope you're not thinking other than 14. Obviously it's 14. Why would I build it up for something else? For all of our young adults, I have facilitated many retreats on finding calmness in chaos. And that too, I used this chapter. If I can give you a summary thought for today, our content is what makes us feel our context. Right now, if you have a lot of laziness in your personality, then your context, as in the world, seems quite blah. If your content is aggressive right now, then your living space, your commute, is very frustrating. if your content is quiet, your relationships, your errands today, you will have a big smile on your face right now, being cheerful to treat this as your responsibility. Okay? Sri Krishna is sharing, we are all the qualities, they keep moving around, but naturally, we've studied that sattva guna is sattva. It is like existence, truth, nobility. So we should choose to nurture this quality. From inspiration to application, your application yesterday was for you to rate the percentages in your personality towards laziness, aggressiveness, and quietness. By a quick show of hands, how many of you are predominantly lazy by a show of hands? Wow, I see some hands. Way to be honest. Aggressive, predominantly aggressive. Okay. Some of you I disagree. Your personality type. So now you're waiting for me to say lazy, but I'm going to say quiet. Say keep you on edge. You'll never know what I'm going to say. How many of you are predominantly quiet? The hands that are up. I agree. I'm going to give you an actual framework based on percentages, but you have to find that in the recording. I gave specifics in terms of 70% and 10%. This is an ancient yet applicable personality assessment. Your application for this morning, I've already shared with you. It is to immerse yourself in these recordings that's shared in the chat. It's on our YouTube channel. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Be joy.